Very good morning, all of you. So, in the previous class, we started off with the understanding the each of terms: ethics, values, morality, belief, attitude, and what is the relationship between all of them. When I say, I'll just go for a quick revision. Values is the preference that you allot to a particular object, to an individual, to a situation. That is your values. Your values are the basis which determines your morality, which in turn determines the ethics of society, and your values are the basis which helps you. When it is tied to an object, it becomes an attitude. तो वैल्यू क्या है? आप प्रेफरेंस है, आप किस चीज को प्रेफरेंस दोगे, ऑनेस्टी को, लॉयल्टी को, केयर को, कंपैशन को, वो आपकी प्रेफरेंस है. एंड ऑन दैट basis of preference, it will be, you will consider what is right or wrong. That will become your morality. And I said, where do these values come from? Values, they actually come from long lasting belief. What is belief then? Belief is basically internal assumption about things. And when these internal assumptions are very strong, when they are very strong, they are long lasting, they become your values. So belief se aati hai values. Values determine करती है morality को, values affect करती है attitude को, values is in turn when tied to an object, they become an attitude. That's what we had seen. This is what we had seen. And when I said, let's look at some of the characteristics, are they absolute? Are they relative? They are relative or absolute. There are two schools which say, some of them say that they are relative, some of them say they are absolute, that there cannot be a right way of doing a wrong thing. And some of them say that they are relative. Why? Because it depends on situation, it depends on circumstance, it depends on individual. So relative versus absolute. That is what we had seen. And we've also seen what is the importance of ethics for the individual well-being as well as societal well-being. Ethics karna kya chahata hai? What ethics aims at? Ethics aims at creating a moral society, virtuous society. It helps you become a good individual. It enables you to follow the right path. It enables you to build your character. That is one thing that you will have to look forward. Then there are various sources of right or wrong. It can be law, it can be religion, it can be ethics, it can be morality, it can be other laws apart from the constitution. So there are various sources which tells you what is right or wrong. Often they come in conflict with one another. So here we've seen, when has the ethics come in conflict with morality? When have morality come in conflict with the ethics? हमने उसके examples देखे थे. Law क्या होता है? Law का aim क्या है? Ethics और law के बीच में क्या difference है? And we also understood the difference between values and the belief system. That is what we had done the last thing, right? So now I will continue with the ethics and religion. So please give the heading ethics and religion. See, whether you are doing something right or wrong depends on what is your source. One of the source of understanding right or wrong, which majority of people believe in, is religion. कई लोग अब ethics तो पढ़ते नहीं, तो क्या देखते हैं? Religion की मदद से देखते हैं कि क्या हम ये चीज सही कर रहे हैं या गलत कर रहे हैं. Religion बताता है कि yes, this can be done, this cannot be done. So somewhere religion is trying to further enrich the ethics. Religion becomes the basis of right or wrong. Majority of the people do this, majority of the people follow this. So what are we trying to understand? We'll understand how do religion favor ethics, how do religion help in governing right or wrong. That's what we'll have to understand. Now, here when I talk about religion और ethics में फर्क क्या है? Religion क्या होता है और ethics क्या होता है? Anybody? Online class? Yes. What is the difference between religion and ethics? बताओ. Religion ethics को promote करता है, ठीक है, but religion और ethics में फर्क क्या है? First point, religion is based on faith, and generally faith cannot be questioned. Faith cannot be questioned. Full stop. Next point, ethics is based on facts, reasoning, logic, and therefore ethics can be questioned. You can question ethics, but you cannot question religion. Next point, ethics are broader than religious value. They are broader than religious value because ethics are based on values, norms, morality, constitution, etc. Whereas I said ethics are broader in nature because they are based on norms, laws, constitution, morality, values, etc. Whereas religion has, whereas each religion has different values and therefore they are narrower. Therefore, they are narrower. Full stop. Just write one line. Religion influences ethics. Religion influences ethics. Okay. So we will see that how is religion influencing ethics. Religion कैसे influence करता है ethics को. How can religion influence ethics? Okay, that's what we'll have to see. Just draw a chart. Just draw on one side, just write religion. On the other side, write the ethical values. On one side, just write the religion. And on other side, write the ethical values. Religion or ethical values लिखेंगे. Religion. Okay. So let me start off with listing down the religions. Christianity, Hinduism, Sikhism. You have Islam, Buddhism. Yes. So what do we learn from Christianity? What do we learn from Christianity? You learn compassion. You learn forgiveness. Okay. What do you learn from Hinduism? Inclusivity. Inclusivity. Vasudev Kutumbakam. यही देखते हैं ना वासुदेव कुटुंबकम. You learn Nishkam Karm, that you keep on doing your duty. Nishkam Karma is nothing but dedication to duty. You keep on doing your duty without actually worrying about the fruits. Okay, without actually worrying about your results. See, if you give preference to results and you don't focus on your duty, then you are giving your key of your happiness to the result. So rather than giving the key of happiness to result, focus on the process, focus on what you have presently. And once you do your work properly, you will feel happy, no matter what is the result. ये गांधी जी ने भी बोला है that full effort is full victory. अगर पूरा effort मारा है, तो वो victory के जैसा ही है. You would also hear this. YouTube में भी एक there has been a series, right? Aspirants. How many of you watch the Aspirants? देखा Aspirant? उसमें एक poem है, last में जो poem है, that कोई फर्क नहीं रहता अंत तक जाने वाले में या जीत जाने वाले में. This goes on in your social media also. It's like you are not giving your happiness to the outcome alone. You are happy if you try to do what you have in your hand. You are happy when you follow what is given to you. You are happy when you completed the task. So this is about your Nishkam Karma. Don't think about the fruits. Just go for your everyday work. Every day, what you have, try to focus on that. Gandhi ji ne bhi bola yahi cheez. Full effort is full victory. That's what you learn from Hinduism. From Sikhism, you learn about charity. ठीक है, charity से charity करना, बंद चखना, किर्त करना, ठीक है. You learn devotion. So this is what. So keep on listing. इसमें add करते जाना और भी नाम जपना, devotion. From Islam, you learn the concept of brotherhood. From Buddhism, you learn the concept of non-violence, 8-fold path, control over desires. From Jainism, this is also about your right faith. It's about right knowledge. It's about non-violence. So religion also influences in our understanding of right or wrong. Religion also influences the ethical values. Religion, it tells you about good conduct. It tells you that what is right conduct, what is wrong conduct, same as ethics. And therefore, religion has profound influence on ethics. Religion will influence the ethics. Okay. All of you, have you written this? Okay, fine. Now, so we are just getting used to the terms. चीजें समझ रहे हैं. Give the heading norms. Give the heading norms. ठीक है. So norms of the society. Norms यानी क्या? Norms is basically, norms means that whatever your unsaid rules are there in the society. There is no said rule, there is no said law, but then they are unsaid things that you have to obey. For example, you should marry according to the choice of your parents. You should touch the feet of elders. You should obey what elders are saying it to you. तो ये norms होते हैं जो society में होते हैं जिसको generally obey करना होता है, and it also helps you in not moving towards the deviant path. अगर आप norms follow करते हो so you don't move towards the deviant path. So that also somewhere helps you deciding what is right or wrong. So please write norms. One of the source of ethics. One of the source of ethics is norms. One of the source of ethics is norms. Full stop. Norms are the social expectation. Underline the word social expectations. Okay? So they are social expectations. Next point. It is a set of rules. It is a set of rules or behavior agreed upon by societal members and is binding on all. Full stop. Norms are a form of social control. Norms are a form of social control on individuals to ensure conformity. CONFORMITY. To ensure conformity and check deviant behavior. And check deviant behavior. ठीक है, क्या लिखा है? What have we written? We wrote that what are norms? These are unsaid rules. These are something, these are the expectations set by the society. What do they aim to do? They aim to ensure that the person is not having any deviant behavior. It intends to induce conformity. You should conform, you should agree, you should follow these principles. ऐसा कई बार होता है ना, that it is a norm that you should not take any substance which is harmful for your health. You cannot go for, should not eat tobacco, you should not consume cigarette. But then not many of you follow. ठीक है, तो क्या करते हैं? फिर छुप छुप के पीते हैं. तो ये नॉर्म है कि फैमिली का नॉर्म है ताकि डिविएंट बिहेवियर को चेक करो, कंफॉर्मिटी होनी चाहिए. ठीक है, राइट. द सेकंड पॉइंट या द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. Norms are often expressed through customs, folklores, FOLKLORE, folklores, tradition, through tradition. So they are expressed through folklores, traditions, and the customs. Next point. Any non-conformity might lead to social ostracization. अगर norm follow नहीं करे तो social ostracization हो सकता है. आपको जेल में नहीं डाल सकते बिकॉज इलीगल नहीं है, बट आपसे बात करना बंद कर सकते हैं, आपको रिस्पेक्ट देना बंद कर सकते हैं. सोशल ऑस्ट्रेसाइजेशन, दैट मींस यू आर नो लॉन्गर अ पार्ट ऑफ द कम्युनिटी. ठीक है, यू कैन जस्ट राइट एग्जाम्पल ऑफ सम नॉर्म्स. एग्जाम्पल ऑफ नॉर्म्स डैश करके. विजिटिंग रिलीजियस श्राइन्स, कॉमा, टचिंग द फीट ऑफ elders, marrying according to parents' wish, wishes. ठीक है, so this was about the norms. क्या क्या आपके norms अभी भी prevalent है. Give the next heading, give the next topic. Ethics in public and private life. Ethics in public and private life. ठीक है. So ethics means what are the principles that you follow in your everyday life? What are the principles of right or wrong? How do you see yourself as right or wrong? ये होता है ethics. That how do you believe what is right or wrong? What do you understand as the correct or incorrect thing in your normal daily life. That is your ethics in ethics. ठीक है, अब आपके एथिक्स कुछ पब्लिक लाइफ में हो सकते हैं, आपका कुछ राइट और रॉन्ग तरीका देखने पब्लिक लाइफ में हो सकता है, कोई सही गलत का तरीका प्राइवेट लाइफ में हो सकता है. तो what do you think is right or wrong in your personal space, with your friends, with your mother, with your father, with your family? That becomes the private life. Private life is something that is near to you, in close proximity to you. That is your private life. What about public life? In public life, it is you're dealing with the office colleagues, you're dealing with your administrators, you're dealing with your other societal members. So that is your public life. Now my question to you is, do you think that the ethics in public life can be completely separated from the ethics in private life? क्या ये possible है that आप पूरे ही अलग ethics follow करो अपनी public life में और पूरे ही अलग ethics follow करो अपनी private life में? नहीं, that is not there. You cannot do that. Second question to you is, do you think that there can be complete separation? नहीं है, ऐसा separation नहीं हो सकता कि ये private life है, ये public life है. You cannot have this separation. This is there. तो ये तो हमको समझ गया. क्या ऐसे possible है कि सब कुछ overlap करे, पूरी ही चीजें overlap करे? That the same thing. This is your ethics in public life. You are the same person in the home and you are the same person in your public sphere also. दोनों ही equal है, public भी equal है और private भी equal है. That can also not happen. That means what? There is an overlap. Certain values are common while going for public and private life, whereas certain values are completely different. You can be more formal in your public space, but you will be informal in your private space. You can be more caring in your private space. As a mother, as a father, you can be extremely caring, but in your public space, probably you will have to have some restraint. You cannot be mother of all, you cannot be father of all. तो आपका कुछ चीजें, but then honesty, commitment, dedication, ये सब क्या होगा? ये सब overlap करेंगे. You can be very diligent, you can be a very dedicated father, you can be a very dedicated employee, you can be a very dedicated officer also. So it depends on that. It depends that certain values are common, whereas certain values they are uncommon. तो कुछ overlap है, but watertight separation भी नहीं है, but same भी नहीं है. तो थोड़ा सा overlap है. ठीक है? So can somebody give me an example of what would be the general principles as an officer, as an IAS officer? क्या general principles आप follow करोगे अपनी public life में? I'll repeat my question. The question is, as an IAS officer, what general principles will you follow in the public life? क्या public life में क्या principles follow करोगे? कल जाके आप IAS officer बनने वाले हो. You are going to be an IAS officer. What would be the general principles that you would follow in the public life? Come on, tell me. Integrity, fine. So you'll follow integrity, honesty. ठीक है? Integrity, honesty. Have you gone through your syllabus? Anybody? What is the third unit of your syllabus? Aptitude and the foundational values for the civil service. What are the foundational values mentioned? What are the foundational values mentioned? क्या foundational values mentioned है in your syllabus? See, you have to learn your syllabus. बताओ. Integrity, non-partisanship, dedication to duty, objectivity, compassion, empathy, tolerance, and your impartiality. ठीक है? So integrity, non-partisanship, dedication to duty, objectivity, compassion, empathy, tolerance, and impartiality. Understand? जब ethics का पेपर लिखना होता है, तो ethics के पेपर में values लिखनी होती है, और उस समय जब पेपर लिखते हो तो 3 values पे ही अटक जाते हो. Accountability, responsibility, transparency. इसके ऊपर किसी को values उस समय याद ही नहीं आती, because इतना stress होता है, इतना pressure होता है. Point ये है कि आप अपनी you have to create a list of 50-60 values which you will write across answers. Across answers कैसे values लिखोगे? 50-60 You have to list 50-60 values. For you to list 50-60 values, you will have to create short forms. You will have to follow those short forms. So here, this any time you think of the what as a civil servant आप क्या values follow करोगे, तो आपके दिमाग में एक short form आ जाना चाहिए एंडोसिटी. कि अगर मुझसे पूछा कि एज अ सिविल सर्वेंट क्या फॉलो करोगे, एंडोसिटी. क्या है ये आपके सिलेबस में मेंशन किया हुआ है. सेकंड एआरसी ने लिखा हुआ है कि एज अ सिविल सर्वेंट what are the foundational values you are expected to follow. What are the expected values you'll have to follow? You'll have to follow integrity. You'll have to follow integrity, non-partisanship, dedication to duty, objectivity, compassion, empathy, tolerance and impartiality. तो आपको ये values follow करनी है. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So जब मैं आपसे पूछ रही हूँ कि क्या ethical values follow करोगे, आपके दिमाग में 10 से 15 values आ जानी चाहिए. इसके सिवाय बताओ क्या फॉलो करोगे एज अ वैल्यूज. यू हैव टू स्टार्ट इंटरैक्टिंग, यू हैव टू स्टार्ट गेटिंग इन्वॉल्वड इन एथिक्स पेपर, अदरवाइज यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू राइट द पेपर. एक आंसर लिखने में प्रॉब्लम आ जाएगा अगर आप सोचोगे नहीं, अगर आप फॉलो नहीं करोगे. इट इज नॉट अबाउट पैसिवली सिटिंग एंड राइटिंग एथिक्स पेपर. इंडोसिटी, चलो बताओ एज एन आईएएस ऑफिसर इन 7 वैल्यूज के सिवाय और क्या फॉलो कर सकते हो. इंटीग्रिटी फॉलो करना है, नॉन पार्टिसनशिप यानी किसी पॉलिटिशियन से इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं होना है, किसी पार्टी का हिस्सा नहीं होना है. डेडिकेशन टू ड्यूटी करनी है, ऑब्जेक्टिविटी होनी चाहिए. यू शुड नॉट बी इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय सब्जेक्टिव कास्ट, सब्जेक्टिव नॉर्म्स ऑफ कास्ट, सब्जेक्टिव योर डिसीजन शुड बी सोली ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ मेरिट. You will not be influenced by any other external parameter, region, religion, language, caste, ethnicity. आप उससे influence नहीं होगे decision लेते समय. Compassion होना है, करुणा भाव होना है. You should follow, you should feel what the other is feeling and you should do something more to reduce the suffering. Empathy होनी चाहिए, tolerance होना चाहिए, impartiality होनी चाहिए. किसी को favor ज्यादा नहीं, किसी को favor कम नहीं, impartial रहोगे. ठीक है. ऑफिस में नेपोटिज्म नहीं फैलाओगे, फेवरेटिज्म नहीं फैलाओगे. इसके सिवाय क्या करोगे बताओ. एथिक्स इन पब्लिक लाइफ, व्हाट मोर कैन यू फॉलो. ऑफिसर लाइक क्वालिटी, राइट. ऑफिसर लाइक क्वालिटी होनी चाहिए. एनीबडी, इसके सिवाय क्या पब्लिक लाइफ में फॉलो कर सकते हो. इसके सिवाय एक दिया हुआ है, यू विल ऑल्सो फॉलो. इफ यू रिमेंबर योर, देयर इज अनदर कमिटी, नोलन कमिटी. This was your second ARC. This was the second ARC mentioning the values. There was another committee that mentioned that you will have to, as a public servant, Nolan, NOLAN, Nolan committee. Nolan committee ने भी कुछ recommendation दी थी. उन्होंने बोला था that as a civil servant, you will have to follow CO, hello, selflessness, impartiality, openness. You should be open. You should go for honesty. I'll repeat: selflessness, impartiality, openness, honesty, accountability, loyalty, even leadership. You can also write leadership. He focused very much on the leadership. तो leadership भी लिख सकते हो, loyalty भी लिख सकते हो. जब भी कोई बोले as in what are the officer like qualities, ये दोनों short forms दिमाग में आ जाने चाहिए. इंडो सिटी, CO, हेलो. यहाँ openness है, objectivity है, loyalty है, leadership है. You have to be a leader. ठीक है. You cannot be simply anybody else. You have to be a leader. So आप ऑफिसर लाइफ क्वालिटीज बोलेंगे तो दिमाग में ये आपके शॉर्ट फॉर्म आ जाना चाहिए, CO, हालो और एंडो सिटी. ठीक है. So I'm starting off with the ethics in the public and the private life. Okay, please write ethics. Give the heading ethics in private relationship. Give the heading ethics in private relationship. Ethics in private relationship. Please write the ethical standard followed by people in their personal life or private life, full stop. In general, people follow private values on the basis of family values, comma, societal values, comma, religious values and cultural values. तो आप ये सब के बेसिस पे, कल्चर पे, रिलीजन पे, सोसाइटी के ऊपर, फैमिली के ऊपर आपकी प्राइवेट लाइफ बेस्ड होती है, आपके प्राइवेट वैल्यूज बेस्ड होते हैं. Then give the heading ethics in public relations. Ethics in public relationship. First point. It is about ethical standard. It is about ethical standard followed by people in public relations. In public relation. That is all those relation which are not private relations, are public relations. All those relations which are not private relations, something which is not private becomes your public, except for family, except for relatives, not even relatives for that matter, except for family and friends. ठीक है, आपके जो भी रिलेशंस होते हैं वो आपके पब्लिक लाइफ में जाते हैं. हम saying क्या बोल रहे हैं? फर्स्ट पॉइंट, आई एम रिपीटिंग द पॉइंट. इट इज अबाउट एथिकल स्टैंडर्ड फॉलोड बाय पीपल इन पब्लिक रिलेशंस. In public relation, that is all those relations which are private, which are not private, all those relations which are not private are public. This was the first point. Second, please write, it refers to interface with any formal organization. Example, as an employee, comma, as a professional, as an employee, as a professional, comma, as a civil servant, as a civil servant. So you have some relation in your private domain along your family, with your relatives, with your friends, and you have some public relation. Now, see, all of you, I'm driving a very important point here. So as an employee, as a formal member of society, in a organization, as a civil servant, as a professional. Now, see, case study में कैसे ये यूटिलाइज होता है. अच्छा, पहले एग्जाम्पल लिख लो. एग्जाम्पल ऑफ एथिक्स इन पब्लिक रिलेशंस. जैसे अगर आप मीडिया में हो तो यू विल हैव मीडिया एथिक्स. अगर आप डॉक्टर हो तो हो जाएगा मेडिकल एथिक्स. अगर आप सिविल सर्वेंट हो तो हो जाएगा कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट. तो पब्लिक रिलेशंस के भी गवर्न करने के लिए यू हैव योर एथिकल standards. The ethical standards like media ethics, the ethical standards like medical ethics, the ethical standards like code of conduct rules. तो ये सब क्या गवर्न करता है? This is governing your relationship in the public domain, in your public life. ठीक है? How should you behave? Now I have one important point here. The important point is, can it happen that many times your ethics in private relation can come in conflict with the public relation? क्या ये conflict में आ सकते हैं? Your family expectations versus employee expectations, your family functions versus the official functions. What about your family thinking of that you will try to fulfill them something by some scheme or something like that, but your code of conduct rule will say कि नहीं, आप impartial नहीं हो, आपको partiality नहीं करनी है, आपको impartial रहना है. ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि yourself, your friends, they are having some expectations, but as a formal member of society you have some other expectations. एक बार ये भी क्वेश्चन पूछा था यूपीएससी की केस स्टडी में कि आप क्या पब्लिक में बहुत अच्छे हैं, आप अच्छे सिंसियर हो, आप एफिशिएंट हो, आप अच्छे एम्प्लॉय हो, आप लीडर हो अपने ऑफिस में, बट आप प्राइवेट रिलेशन में इट वाज सीन दैट you have been doing there was a person who was doing domestic violence. So now as a junior, you saw that the person is indulging in domestic violence at home, but is a very sincere person at office. आप अपने सीनियर के खिलाफ कंप्लेन करोगे कि नहीं करोगे? आप अपने सीनियर के खिलाफ क्या करोगे? अब अगर आपका एक पब्लिक डोमेन भी हो सकता है, एक प्राइवेट डोमेन भी हो सकता है. Tell me, what will you do if you have a very good boss who takes care of your career interest? If you have a very good boss who looks forward that he encourages to work, he is willing to teach you, he's patient with you, but your boss is indulging into domestic violence at home. One day you go to his home and you see that the person is the wife of the person has been crying. What will you do? What is the situation? What will you do in this situation? क्या करोगे? आपके बॉस के खिलाफ कंप्लेन करोगे, अपने बॉस को कन्विंस करोगे, वाइफ को मोटिवेट करोगे टू रेस फॉर हर राइट्स, क्या करोगे? व्हाट विल यू डू? तो क्वेश्चन पूछेगा, व्हाट आर द ऑप्शंस अवेलेबल टू यू? व्हाट आर द ऑप्शंस अवेलेबल टू यू एंड व्हाट ऑप्शन विल यू फॉलो? पॉइंट जो बोलना चाह रहे हैं वो ये बोलना चाह रहे हैं कि जीवन में जो एथिकल डायलेमास होती हैं, जितनी भी आप एथिकल डायलेमास देखोगे, that means the tough calls that you have to take in life, it is because, see, you can look at me as an individual, you can look at me as a daughter, you can look at me as a wife, you can look at me as a employee, you can look at me as a employer, you can look at me as a teacher. जीवन में जो ethical dilemmas आती हैं, you can look at me as a citizen of India. I am what? I am also a citizen of country. So ethical dilemmas many times are because on an individual there are many superimposing roles. बहुत सारे superimposing roles हैं, ठीक है? Now suppose I was that person and I had a senior who is indulging in domestic violence at home, but he is a very good officer. Now मैं करूँ क्या? What should I do? The point is, as an individual or as a citizen of the country, it is my fundamental duty. It is my fundamental duty to stand for justice. I'm also a woman here. Okay? So it is my fundamental duty to stand for justice. But as an employee, I have my own concerns. अगर बॉस के खिलाफ कंप्लेन कर दी तो probably मेरा career progression रुक जाएगा. तो ethical dilemma हो गई citizen versus employee की, कि मैं अच्छी citizen बनूं और justice के लिए खड़ी रहूं, या मैं employee बनूं और अपनी progress के बारे में सोचूं, मैं अपने career के बारे में सोचूं. यहाँ पे if there has been a violence against women, what about my duty towards women rights? What about my duty to women empowerment? So I have a duty towards women empowerment, but then again as an employee I have my own concerns. तो ethical dilemmas अगर कोई situation में identify करनी हो तो दो तरीके हो सकते हैं to identify ethical dilemmas. One is your public versus private. There are many superimposing roles on one person. This is one way of identifying ethical dilemmas. And the other way of identifying ethical dilemmas, is आपका जो right और wrong है, इसके various perspectives हैं. गांधी जी कुछ बोलेंगे, डुओन्टोलॉजी कुछ और बोलेंगे, टीलियोलॉजी कुछ और बोलेंगे, प्लाटो कुछ और बोलेंगे, सोक्रेट्स कुछ और बोलेंगे. प्लाटो बोलेंगे you should stand for justice. You should have fortitude. ठीक है, fortitude होना चाहिए, आप courageous होने चाहिए at the time of difficulty. यही situation लेते हैं. If you are not going against your employee, you will lack courage. If you lack courage, if you lack fortitude, this is an unethical action. That is what Plato would say. Justice होना चाहिए, fortitude होना चाहिए. Justice के लिए भी नहीं खड़े हो रहे हो, तब भी unethical कर रहे हो. Action and unethical action. ठीक है, प्लेटो कहेंगे कि आपको विजडम की तरफ जाना चाहिए. एज अ वाइज इंडिविजुअल आपने क्या करना चाहिए? व्हाट शुड यू डू? आप डायरेक्टली कंप्लेन मत करो. फर्स्ट टॉक टू योर बॉस, फर्स्ट टॉक टू हिज वाइफ. बी अ वाइज इंडिविजुअल. Think of what can be the repercussions for the wife also if you complain. Think of what can be the repercussion in their family marriage, and if they have some son or daughter or some child, what will be the repercussions on that. तो wise बनो और भी perspective सोचो. सीधा जाके complain कर दिया तो family पे, marriage पे, बच्चे पे काफी impact पड़ सकता है. इससे अच्छा पहले convince करो. तो वो step आ सकता है convince करने का. तो ये प्लेटो बोलेंगे वाइज इंसान क्या करेगा. आपकी एक और चीज है, बट देन कुछ कोई और पर्सपेक्टिव कुछ और बात कर सकता है. टेलियोलॉजी बोलेंगे कि अगर आप कंप्लेन नहीं कर रहे हो तो कॉन्सिक्वेंस होता है कि द टॉर्चर कैन कंटिन्यू. तो कॉन्सिक्वेंस क्या है? इफ यू आर नॉट कंप्लेनिंग, इफ यू आर कन्विंसिंग, देन द टॉर्चर कैन कंटिन्यू. तो टेलियोलॉजी बोलेगा आपकी एक्शन का कॉन्सिक्वेंस क्या हुआ, व्हाट हैज बीन द कॉन्सिक्वेंस ऑफ योर एक्शन. That is what your teleology will say. So ethical dilemmas comes when you have varied roles in life, you have varied overlapping roles, and what is right or wrong depends on various perspective. Perspective पे depend करता है कि सही है कि गलत है. ठीक है, तो किसके perspective से देख रहे हो? गांधी जी बोलेंगे नॉन वायलेंस तो होना चाहिए, वायलेंस इन एनी फॉर्म इज रॉन्ग. तो गांधी जी ये बात करेंगे. कांत बोलेंगे दैट इंसान को मैन शुड बी ट्रीटेड एज अ एंड इन वनसेल्फ. खुद को एंड की तरह लो रादर देन एज अ मींस टू एन एंड. मींस थोड़ी है वो फ्रस्ट्रेशन निकालने का. इट्स द पर्सन इज एन एंड इन इटसेल्फ. वो डिग्निटी, वायलेंस इज अगेंस्ट द डिग्निटी ऑफ एन इंडिविजुअल. ऑल ऑफ यू, आर यू ट्राइंग टू अप्रिशिएट व्हाट इज एथिक्स? समझ आ रहा है एथिक्स है क्या चीज? Ethical dilemmas, the questions that you will be given in your UPSC examination, they will tell you to identify ethical dilemmas. They will tell you to identify ethical concerns. They will tell you to come up with solutions. कि solution को बताओ क्या solution है. और for that matter, as an administrator also, आपको ethical dilemmas face करनी होगी जीवन में. और कैसे इनको देखोगे और कैसे इसको सॉल्व करोगे, यही आपको एथिक्स बताएगा. अब आप और मैं तो कुछ है नहीं. वी हैव टू टेक रेफरेंसेस फ्रॉम थिंकर्स. वी हैव टू टेक रेफरेंसेस फ्रॉम व्हाट इज द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन सेइंग. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन विल से रॉन्ग. व्हाट इज द लॉ ऑफ द कंट्री सेइंग. लॉ क्या कह रहा है कि डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस गलत है. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्या कह रहा है? दैट राइट टू लाइफ मींस राइट टू लाइफ विद डिग्निटी. आर्टिकल 21 लॉ भी बात करता है कि आपका डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस गलत है. तो ये पर्सपेक्टिव से आपको चीजें देखनी पड़ेंगी. ओके, सो वी वर राइटिंग एथिक्स इन दी प्राइवेट रिलेशन एंड दी एथिक्स इन दी पब्लिक रिलेशन, एंड देन वी मूव्ड ऑन टू अंडरस्टैंडिंग की डायलेमास कैसे इसमें से भी निकलती है. लिखो प्लीज, राइट, जस्ट गिव अ हेडिंग. some of the ethical principles followed in public life are integrity, objectivity, compassion, responsibility, confidentiality, etc. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट पॉइंट लिखिए. A civil servant is expected to follow following rules. क्या रूल्स आपको फॉलो करने होते हैं? यू हैव टू फॉलो द सिविल सर्विस कंडक्ट रूल्स. 1964 you have to follow. This was the first one. Second rule जो follow करना होता है, that is central service conduct rules. Central service conduct rules. Again, 1964. And the third is all India conduct rules. Third one is, तो पहला central civil service conduct rules, Code of conduct rules. Third one is All India Service rules. All India conduct rules, All India Service rules, 2014. 2014. ठीक है. Just give the heading. Acha, do you know that, I hope you know this before you are getting into services, कुछ rules पता होने चाहिए. Do you know that अच्छा, we said that there are 3 rules. Code of conduct rules. There are central service rules. ठीक है. There is central, there is All India Service rules. All India Service rules. ये 3 आपको rules लगते हैं. Code of conduct rules, central service rules, and the All India Service rules. These rules, they are not only governing your public life. ये सिर्फ आपकी public life govern नहीं करते हैं. Civil servant की private life भी govern करते हैं. Whether you can join any business, whether you can do any business, whether you can join any political party, whether you can write a book or not, whether you can invest in the futures and options in the stock market, these rules, they also govern your private life as well. सिर्फ normal public life govern नहीं कर रहे, आप private life में क्या कर रहे हो वो भी govern कर रहे. क्यों? Why are they trying to do? Because understand, a civil servant is not a normal individual. A civil servant is a servant of the public. He becomes a leader. तो जो civil servant करते हैं वो काफी लोग देखते हैं और उसको follow करते हैं. Civil servant is a leader. One, so he cannot go for any unethical act. Civil servant is always on duty 24/7. कहाँ public life खत्म होती है और कहाँ private life चालू होती है वो कोई boundary नहीं है, पूरी blur boundary है. So civil servant is on duty 24/7. Third is a civil servant is a role model. ठीक है, वो role model है, leader है, तो उनको हमेशा ethical conduct करना पड़ेगा. उनको लोग देख के लोग सीखते हैं. So that is why your conduct rules not only govern your public life, but your conduct rules also govern your private life. लिख लो ये, एक line लिख लें. The conduct rules also governs the private life of civil servant. The private life of civil servant, like economic activities, they govern economic activities such as investment in share market, association with comma डाल के, association with any organization, association with any organization is governed, comma, post retirement conduct is also governed. तो आपका association with economic activity, आपका association with any organization, whether you can invest in share market or not, you cannot invest in futures and option. Your publishing of the book, even the post retirement, your conduct is governed. ठीक है, bracket में लिखे, for 1 year a civil servant cannot hold any commercial position, after retirement. After retirement you cannot hold any commercial position for 1 year. So after retirement, dashed करके, this is done to promote probity in governance. This is done to promote probity in governance. ठीक है. So हमने क्या देखा कि what is ethics in public life? What do we mean by ethics in public life? Then we saw what do we mean by ethics in private life. We saw what are the ethics for the civil servant in the public and the private life. जो 3 rules हमने देखे और हमने देखे कि ये rules जो हैं ये सिर्फ public life को govern नहीं करते हैं but आपकी private life को भी govern करते हैं. हमने ये भी देखा कि कैसे ethical dilemmas आती हैं because an individual has many overlapping roles. कैसे ethical dilemmas आती हैं क्योंकि various perspectives हैं of right or wrong. Okay, all of you give the heading relation between ethics in public and private life. Relation क्या है of the ethics in public and the private life. Give the first question, whether the two are separate. Whether the two are separate. We've already discussed this. That they are not separate. So please write the two relations ethics in public life and private life. The two relations cannot be completely separated, although there can be some difference between both the values. There can be some difference between both the value system and there can be some common values. कुछ values अलग हो सकती हैं, कुछ values common रह सकती हैं. There can be some values which can be common. There can be some values which can be different. Okay. You can make this chart. You can make this chart. Ethics in private relation, ethics in public relation, common values. Common values. Ethics in private relation, ethics in public relation, and common values. Private relation में there can be more. You can be more informal. There can be more flexibility. Informal. There can be more flexibility. This is more about a personal touch. ज़्यादा personal touch होता है. यहाँ पे privacy होती है. What about ethics in public relation? It is more formal. This one is more formal. This is less flexible. Follow करना होता है discipline को. You have to be disciplined. It's about here you can take into consideration the personal interest. यहाँ पे personal interest होता है. यहाँ पे public interest की बात करते हैं. जनता का किसमें फायदा है? It's about privacy here. It is more openness here. There is more openness here. But then some of the values that has to be common, the values like honesty, integrity, compassion, objectivity, responsibility. Okay. Whether the two are separate? No, they are not separate. There is no watertight separation. Some values are different, some values are common. Can I move on? This was the first question, whether they are separate. Now the second question is, all of you write the second question. The second question is, when there is conflict between, the values of the public life and private life, what can be done? अगर conflict है public life और private life में तो क्या करना चाहिए? What can be done as a civil servant, especially for a civil servant? What can be done if there is a conflict between public life and the private life? What can be done for a civil servant? बताओ, किसको preference दोगे? You will give preference to the public life. आपका preference, general preference should be the public life, not your private life. You are a civil servant. Why? Why should the public life be preferred? It's because you are working for a larger cause. It's because you have to be selfless. ठीक है, आपको selflessness बोलते हैं as a value. Nolan committee has already said there should be selflessness, and you should always be courageous to face the challenge. A civil servant should be having fortitude, should have the courage. He has to work for the larger cause. So likho, please write. When there is a conflict between, comma, the general principle is public relation should be given preference. Should be given preference over ethics in private relation. Full stop. In general, public relation is preferred because of larger cause, comma, selflessness in behavior, comma, courage to face challenges, courage to face the challenges. Okay? Courage to face the challenges. So this was about your ethics in public and the private relation. If you have an idea about your syllabus, can somebody tell me what is the first unit? Ethics and human interface. In ethics and human interface, the first topic is about essence of ethics, determinants of the ethics, consequence of the ethics. Then we said consequence of the ethics in human action and the determinants of the ethics. in the public and the private relationship. The dimensions of the ethics, dimension क्या है? Applied dimension, normative dimension, meta ethics, descriptive ethics. That is the dimension of the ethics. Then you have the ethics in the public and the private relation. The fourth is the human values, lessons from. Okay, I'm just listing out it for you. The first unit that we have is ethics and human interface. इसमें first point है essence. We have completed the essence. What is the ethics aiming to do? What is the essence of ethics? The second is determinants of the ethics. What determines what is right or the wrong? You have religion, you have law, you have constitution, you have other morality, your own institution, your own conscience, you have leaders that determines your ethics. Then what is the consequence of ethics? ये कल देखा था consequence of ethics. Ethics करना क्या चाहता है? Social well-being or individual well-being में what is the ethics trying to do for the social well-being and the individual well-being? Then you have the various dimension of ethics. Dimension of ethics in the form of meta ethics. You have meta ethics. You have descriptive ethics. Meta ethics, descriptive ethics. It is about your applied ethics. It is about normative ethics. इसको और डिटेल में पढ़ने वाले हैं. एक छोटा सा आइडिया दिया है, इसको और डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे. Then the next topic is ethics in public and private relation. Ethics in public and private relation. इससे कैसे ethical dilemmas आती है ये भी समझ लिया है. Ethical dilemmas और भी normative ethics से कैसे आती है वो भी हमने थोड़ा बहुत देख लिया. Then the next topic is human values. Lessons from the life of teachers, administrators, reformers, etc. ये वाला जो topic है human values. We have seen human values yesterday. Human values क्या होती है? We are not human being just because of the human body that we possess. We are human being because of the human values that we possess. What are human values? सारे humans को क्या values चाहिए? Love, care, compassion, loyalty, trust. ये सब सारे humans को चाहिए. इसमें जो topic है, the lessons from the leaders, administrators. Lessons from the leaders, administrators. This topic will be covered along with the moral thinkers. जो moral thinkers है उसके साथ ये वाला टॉपिक कवर होगा. The lessons from the life of leaders, administrators and reformers. Lessons from the life of leaders, administrators and reformers जो moral thinkers करेंगे उसके साथ कवर होगा. I am moving on to the next topic, that is the role of family. The role of family, society and educational institution. The role of family, the role of society, the role of educational institution. So I'm moving on to this topic. The first unit, the last topic, role of family, society, educational institution. So all of you, what you do, you give a new heading, that is the heading of socialization. So just write what is socialization. In socialization, what are we going to look? We are going to look what is the concept about socialization का मतलब क्या है. Second, we are going to look at the mechanism of socialization. Mechanism of socialization. Socialization होता किससे है, मतलब कैसे आप socialize होते हो, the mechanisms of socialization, and then we looked at the agency of socialization. Socialization का agency क्या है, ठीक है. So what is socialization? What is the mechanism? How do you learn? How do you become a part of the society? You learn through observation. Observation and learning. A child is very observant. A child tries to learn by observing. Second is you learn through reward and punishment. Reward and punishment. You learn for role modeling. आपके कोई role models होते हैं जिसको देख के आप सीखते हो, आप समझते हो. You learn by trial and error. जुगाड़ से सीखते हो, ट्रायल और एरर से सीखते हो. What are the agencies of socialization? Family, society, relatives and all. You have media, you have religion. These are the agencies of the socialization. तो socialization में क्या समझेंगे? क्या concept है? क्या mechanism है? किससे सीखते हो? What are the ways in which you can understand? And who are the agencies of the socialization? किससे सीखते हो? कैसे सीखते हो और किससे सीखते हो? कैसे सीखते हो is mechanism, किससे सीखते हो are the agencies. You learn from a family, society, peer groups, you learn from religion, etc. ठीक है? So that is your starting of the role of family, society and the educational institution in inculcation of the values. How do you inculcate values? Through this. All of you with me? Can I move on? Fine. So please write socialization. Give the heading socialization and write. It is defined as a process by which a child is inducted. A child is inducted into society's culture. कैसे एक सोसाइटी का पार्ट बनता है, कैसे एक कल्चर का पार्ट बनता है, उसको आप बोलते हो सोशलाइजेशन. The way a child is interacting with the agencies of society, it is called as socialization, right? It is a process by which culture is transmitted, from one generation to another, right? Values are, next point, values are not inborn. Values are not inborn. Bacha is like a clay. A child is like a clay. So does not have values. Values are not inborn, but are acquired. From the society members. From the societal members. Okay. So I'm saying, what is the socialization concept? A child is not born with values, is not born with values. It is acquired. It is acquired by what? It is acquired by this mechanism. It is acquired by this agency. If you remember a quote, और ये quote UPSC ने पूछा हुआ है आपसे, question पूछा हुआ है quote based question पे. The quote is that you can write in inverted commas. If a country has to be corruption free, then and full of beautiful minds, then three agencies can play. The three agencies that can play most important role. तीन एजेंसी जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट रोल लेती हैं वो है मदर, फादर एंड टीचर. Three agencies that plays the most important role in making your country corruption free, in making your country a place full of beautiful mind. ठीक है? Then it is mother, father and teacher. This is being said by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. ये आपसे quote पूछा था. Before I move on to this quote, before I move on to the topic, if suppose you are giving your examination, all of you pay attention here. If suppose you are giving your examination, ठीक है? How will you start attempting this quote? कैसे करोगे? How will you solve this? ठीक है? So here, in the introduction, you can elaborate. Quote के बारे में बता सकते हो, elaborate कर सकते हो. In the body, after elaboration, in the body, you will have to mention the role of mother, the role of teacher, the role of father, and you will have to give examples. पहले सिर्फ इतना बताओगे सोशलाइजेशन क्या होता है, सोशलाइजेशन से वैल्यूज आती हैं, सोशलाइजेशन की बहुत एजेंसीज हैं, ठीक है? उसके बाद बॉडी में, मेन बॉडी में बताओगे कि एक्चुअली मदर का रोल क्या है, टीचर का रोल क्या है और फादर का रोल क्या है. मदर के रोल के लिए एग्जाम्पल दो, टीचर के रोल के लिए एग्जाम्पल दो. ठीक है? जैसे मदर का रोल का बहुत ब्यूटीफुल एग्जाम्पल ये है दैट थॉमस अल्वा एडिसन. ठीक है? ही वाज होम स्कूल्ड. as he was homeschooled because school said that he cannot cope up with the school. घर पे मम्मी ने पढ़ाया and mother created from a child a scientist. So this one, mother, role of mother. What about the role of teacher? If you remember, एक बहुत famous story है डॉक्टर एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम की, कि कैसे टीचर ने बहुत इन्फ्लुएंस किया है उनको उनके लाइफ में. It was a teacher who motivated him to do the hard work, the values of consistency, persistence. Teachers have created beautiful minds. ठीक है. रोल ऑफ फादर, फादर से कैसे डिसिप्लिन सीखते हो, फादर से कैसे हार्ड वर्क सीखते हो, फादर से कैसे ऑनेस्टी सीखते हो, और कैसे वो करप्शन को हेल्प करता है, कैसे वो हेल्प करेगा करप्शन कम करने में. तो आपको एग्जाम्पल्स लिखने पड़ेंगे. थॉमस एल्वा एडिसन, डॉक्टर एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम. You can write examples. There have been examples of teacher influencing the life of Mahatma Gandhi ji. ठीक है. So you will have to start collecting those examples and start writing those examples. This will come in the body part. You can also show one diagram. अगर diagram का scope है तो diagram का scope डालो. Ethics में diagrams बनते हैं. Ethics में अच्छे beautiful diagrams बनते हैं. We will see this. And in the conclusion, you can mention about that. बता दिया कि टीचर और फादर मदर का रोल इंपॉर्टेंट है, और भी एजेंसीज का रोल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. रोल मॉडलिंग इंपॉर्टेंट है, लर्निंग एंड ऑब्जर्विंग इंपॉर्टेंट है. तो और भी एजेंसीज इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करती हैं. नॉट ओनली मदर फादर टीचर, बट देयर आर अदर एजेंसीज ऑल्सो. योर गवर्नमेंट, योर लीडर्स, योर मीडिया, दे ऑल्सो इन्फ्लुएंस. You can give a counter viewpoint. या फिर values कैसे inculcate होती हैं. Learning by example, role modeling, observation and learning. उससे आप conclude कर सकते हो how to inculcate values, or you can also mention about the other agencies. All of you, are you getting the hang of how will you write answers in ethics? समझ आ रहा है? इसमें diagram कैसे बन सकता है? इसमें diagram कैसे बन सकता है? ये diagram अपने socialization के notes में भी बनाना. Try to make this in the notes of socialization. See, when a child is born, a child is like a clay. Child is like a clay. First, child जब पैदा होता है, so I'll just write it in a nice manner. Child is like a clay when the child is born. One first agency that a child witnesses is what? The first agency that a child goes through is the family. Family से first interaction होता है बच्चे का. And the second interaction that you have is your school. School से interaction होता है बच्चे का. Then after that, यानी socialization हुआ. ठीक है. यहाँ पे mother father आ गए. Then आपका किससे interaction होता है? Then you have an interaction through your peers. You have an interaction with the media. Religion is coming into influence. You have a role with your organization. Organization, leaders, यहाँ पे leaders आते हैं. आपका interaction होता है government के साथ. तो आप values सीखते हो. This is how you learn the values. So this kind of diagram you can draw. This is what? The agencies of the socialization. Here the child was like a clay. Interaction with the family, interaction with the school, interaction with the second agency. So जो बाहर बने हैं, what are these? The outer one, these are the secondary agencies of socialization. Secondary agency of socialization. And what about family and school? They are the primary agency of socialization. The primary agency of socialization. समझ आ रहा है डायग्राम कैसे बनाना है? All of you with me? Did you understand what is the concept of socialization? Diagram बना लियो? All of you. लिखो. Give the heading mechanism of socialization. Give the heading mechanism of socialization. So what we have covered, we were looking at what is socialization. What is socialization? We now understand interaction with the societal members is called as socialization. Interaction with the societal members helps you inculcate values. It helps you understand the society. It gives you an outlook of the how to behave in the society. अब हम देख रहे हैं mechanism of the socialization. So give the heading mechanism of the socialization. In this first one, the first one, heading the mechanism of socialization. First point लिखे, observation and learning. The first point is observation and learning. Simple है, ज़्यादा कुछ है नहीं, आपको पता है, आप सिर्फ लिखे observation and learning. First, a child indulge in process of learning by watching others. Full stop. Second point, it occurs through कैसे occur होता है learning? It occurs through the social role models. It occurs through social role models like parents, teachers, friends, sibling. Okay, so child is learning through observing the various social role models, teacher, mother, friends, siblings. सुना था वो बीच में एक गेम आई थी ब्लू व्हेल, ठीक है, तो दूसरों को देख के बच्चा सीखता है, गेम्स को देख के बच्चा सीखता है, ऑब्जर्व करता है और लर्न करता है. लिखो, चिल्ड्रन लर्न वायलेंस, a child learns violence by observing violent cartoons. क्यों कहते हैं कि बच्चे के सामने अच्छा बिहेव करो, बच्चे के सामने गलत बात मत बोलो, बच्चे के सामने झूठ मत बोलो. बच्चा वायलेंस देखता है तो वायलेंस सीखता है. See, our brain is a machine. जो डालोगे वो प्रोसेस होगा, वो बड़ा हो जाएगा. जो भी डालोगे वो बड़ा होगा, वो प्रोसेस होगा, वो बड़ा हो जाएगा. This is true today also. This is true in your normal day life also. Every second you are making a choice. हर दूसरे सेकंड में एक चॉइस लेते हो कि कहाँ जाना है, कहाँ नहीं जाना है. टाइम और एनर्जी का चॉइस लेते हो. तो योर ब्रेन इज लाइक जस्ट अ मशीन कि क्या चॉइस लेनी है, कैसे प्रोसेस करना है और कैसे आगे बढ़ना है. समझ आ रहा है? So that's the idea, that what will you choose. So similarly a child is like a clay. जो सामने देखेगा वो वैसे ही करेगा. This is observation and learning. Second way of learning is reward and punishment. ठीक है, डैश करके लिखे. attaching rewards and punishment with any behavior will encourage or discourage a behavior. Attaching any reward or punishment will encourage or discourage a behavior. That is about reward and punishment. Okay. The third one is role modeling. ठीक है, डैश करके लिखें. The process of imagining and visualizing. रोल मॉडलिंग का मतलब क्या होता है कि आप अपने आप को इमेजिन कर रहे हो और विजुलाइज कर रहे हो एज अ रोल मॉडल. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आपको अच्छा लीडर बनना है तो आप अभी से ही वो लीडरशिप स्किल्स अक्वायर करते हो. ये लीडर 4 बजे उठते हैं, ये लीडर 5 बजे ये काम करते हैं, ये लीडर ये 6 बजे ये काम करते हैं. अगर आपको पूरा टाइम टेबल पता पड़ गया तो आप खुद भी वैसा करने की कोशिश करते हो और उससे सीखते हो. वही लिखा है, the process of imagining and visualizing oneself as someone else and acting like him or her is explained as role modeling. ठीक है, देखिए नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इसी में. while playing such roles the individual is able to get a feel of others emotion and values. and therefore is able to modify their response, ठीक है. So a child is able to understand क्या दूसरों के इमोशंस हैं, क्या दूसरों की फीलिंग है जब वो रोल मॉडलिंग करते हैं. जब वो रोल मॉडलिंग करते हैं और वो अपने दूसरों की फीलिंग और इमोशंस को समझते हैं तो वो अपना बिहेवियर मॉडिफाई करते हैं. Has anybody of you seen that a teacher generally makes the most naughty child as a monitor? सबसे naughty child को आप monitor बना देते हो. क्यों? Because the most naughty child, when stands there and tries to monitor the behavior of others, तब उसको समझ आता है कि यहाँ पे रह के वहां पे कैसी फीलिंग आती है. वो जो बच्चा मस्ती कर रहा है उसको देख के यहाँ पे कैसी फीलिंग आती है. तो वो रोल मॉडलिंग करे to change the behavior of the most naughty child. If you want to change the behavior of the most naughty child, then what do? Teacher starts making the naughty child as the monitor. तो जब वो इधर आते हैं रोल मॉडलिंग करते हैं तब उनका बिहेवियर चेंज होता है. तो बिहेवियर चेंज करने के लिए भी you can go for observation and learning. ये इतना पढ़ाई करता है, ये टॉपर ये किताब पढ़ता है, ये टॉपर इतनी टेस्ट देता है. ऑब्जर्वेशन एंड लर्निंग. अगर मैंने टेस्ट दिया तो मुझे ये इनाम मिलेगा. जो 10th का रिजल्ट आया, अगर 10th में अच्छी पढ़ाई की तो ये बाइक मिलेगी. अगर 12th में अच्छी पढ़ाई की तो ये कंप्यूटर मिलेगा. अगर अच्छी पढ़ाई नहीं की तो बाइक ले ली जाएगी, कंप्यूटर ले लिया जाएगा. टू चेंज द बिहेवियर देयर इज रिवॉर्ड एंड पनिशमेंट मैकेनिज्म. रोल मॉडलिंग. If you want to change behavior, you start getting inspired by others. You start taking the role models. Okay, the role modeling is also done. And the fourth one is trial and error. Trial and error is, give the heading trial and error. Give the heading trial and error. Dash करके लिखें. It is about learning via one's own experience. It is learning via own experience. खुद सीखते हो, गिरते हो, आगे बढ़ते हो. खुद सीखते हो, गिरते हो और आगे बढ़ते हो. So what is this? This is the mechanism of the socialization. Question कैसे पूछेगा? What kind of question can they be asked? एक बार examination में एक question पूछा था. The question that they had asked in the examination was this: that how will you use social influence? How will you use social influence and persuasion for implementing Swachh Bharat Abhiyan? आप कैसे social influence को use करोगे? How will you use social influence? How will you use social influence and persuasion for implementing Swachh Bharat Abhiyan? Now, all of you listen. If you want to go for implementation of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, you have to change the habit of people. Those who are in the habit of going for open defecation, they should now start going for using the toilets. तो कैसे करोगे? ठीक है, तो आप रिवॉर्ड पनिश कर सकते हो कि फाइन पेनल्टीज इंप्लीमेंट कर दो those who are going for open defecation. आप रिवॉर्ड दे सकते हो. स्वच्छ भारत अभियान, अगर किसी ग्राम पंचायत ने किसी ग्राम में, किसी विलेज में अच्छे से अगर स्वच्छ भारत अभियान इंप्लीमेंट किया है तो उसको रिवॉर्ड्स मिलेंगे. एक कंपटीशन इंड्यूस किया है कि नहीं? Has government done this or not? Has government done this or not? Social influence and persuasion में पढ़ा होगा ना आपने न्यूज में. They have started doing this कि अच्छी ग्राम पंचायत को what do? You give them the reward. If it is, you start giving rewards to the panchayats. You start imposing penalties. You start imposing the punishment. Role modeling करते हैं, वो ग्राम पंचायत को promote करते हैं. So role modeling. If Indore is doing good, Indore has to be given reward. Indore should become a role model. ठीक है? There was there have been change in the attitude by because of the some one member in the Gram Panchayat starts doing, the other starts observing, and they start learning. They start observing and they start learning that हाँ ये करना चाहिए. आपने sensitize करने के लिए, ठीक है, observation और learning के लिए एक story ही ले आ गए, एक movie ही आ गए. There was one movie. What was this? Toilet एक प्रेम कथा. Toilet एक प्रेम कथा कि observe करो, learn करो, लोगों को knowledge मिला, extra knowledge मिला. ठीक है, तो ऑब्जर्वेशन एंड लर्निंग के लिए, रोल मॉडलिंग के लिए, यूरोपियन व्हाट, यूरोपियन किसको लेके आ गए आप? अमिताभ बच्चन को लेके आ गए. यू गॉट विद्या बालन, विद्या, ताकि लोग वहां से रोल मॉडल करें और सीखें. तो ये सब मैकेनिज्म यूज किया है फॉर द बेटर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ स्वच्छ भारत अभियान. एंड दिस वाज आस्क्ड इन योर यूपीएससी एग्जामिनेशन, हाउ सोशल इन्फ्लुएंस एंड परसुएशन can be used to bring an effective implementation of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. How will you use Swachh Bharat Abhiyan में social influence and persuasion? कैसे social influence और persuasion को use करोगे? Persuasion में ये भी आ जाएगा, persuading via reward, persuading via penalties, persuading via role modeling, persuading via observation and learning. Use of social influence, getting the big personalities, Vidya Balan, Amitabh Bachchan, getting the famous personalities. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? समझ आ रहा है? कैसे अपने कंटेंट को यूज करोगे आंसर्स में? Getting the hang of ethics, थोड़ा बहुत. This is the third class only, and we have started at least changing the gears. ठीक है, we started changing the gears कि कैसे आप आंसर में भी implement करोगे. Is it fine? ठीक है. You will have to go for active searching of examples. Once you do that, I will also give you some of the model answers there. So this is from my side for today. We will meet in the next class, that is on Monday. Thank you so much for being patient and cooperative. All of you, I'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you. Thank you so much.